From moonlit doubts to sunlit steps, your pathway starts to gleam. Breathe in peace, set kind intent, let every frequency redeem. Cups to fill, wands to spark, swords to clear, and coins to ground. Take what helps, bless the rest, walk softly, soul unbound.
Hi everyone, welcome to my first podcast. My name's Nikki, also known as Good Vibrations Tarot. So the reason I'm doing this podcast is to connect with like-minded people, those who have the same interests I do, tarot, anything spirituality. It's a place where I can do readings for people, talk about a topic each week. So today's topic, this is my first episode, so it's more about introducing myself, telling you what I believe in, what my interests are, and also I'll do a brief discussion about the misconceptions of tarot. But yeah, this is a place where we can talk about anything spiritual. You know, you may get a reading. I'm not doing any readings during the first episode, but going forward, each episode will consist of astrology updates, doing readings. I may have a guest on and be speaking about something specific, but it's also about relating tarot readings also to world of, what's happening in the world, astrology updates, how that's relating to world events. Also can help heal people. Doing readings can help heal you. But yeah, that's why I'm doing it. So to do tarot and anything spiritual. I just want it to be a place where we can just have a chat. People can call up and share their stories, ask questions, talk about everyday life. So let's start with me. My name's Nikki. I'm 45 years old. I am a mother. I have one daughter. She's 22. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 6 years now. I've been into tarot and all things spiritual since I was very young. I haven't practiced tarot my whole life, but I have been drawn to those types of things. I have had tarot cards for 30 years, but I think the last 7 years or so, I've really been starting to understand the meanings and develop my knowledge of the tarot. So I've been reading for people. I read for people in my home. I have a YouTube channel, TikTok. I do tarot on there, but it's more so relating to the astrology signs. So I do tarot readings for Aries all the way through to Pisces. That's called Good Vibrations Tarot. I'm also into Chinese astrology, numerology, past life, anything relating to past life, karma, all those types of things. I'm not a numerologist. I wouldn't call myself an astrologer, but I do know quite a bit. There's still a lot more to learn though, so I'm not going to pretend to be an astrologer. I will give you brief updates though. What else am I into? Oh yeah, mediumship. How could I forget the mediumship? That's my goal in life. Okay, so I am a psychic medium, but I like to think of myself as being on my L plates, because when I do readings for people, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I may just pick up little things. Other times I may pick up a lot. So I'm still practicing that ability. I know that I have it, and I know that one day I'll be able to just stand in front of a group of people and connect with spirit and pass on messages. But for now, I'm on my L plates. Let's talk about my beliefs, okay? So I was raised by a single father. He was very anti-religious because he was raised by a religious mother, Seventh-day Adventist. So it was pushed on him, so he became anti-religious. He didn't force my sister and I to believe anything or not believe anything. So I had to, find my own way, see what I believe in. And I do believe in God, but I'm not religious. So I don't don't lean towards a particular religion. I believe that God is the universe. I believe that we're a part of the universe. I believe that everything, you, me, the table, my dog that's passed away, I believe that everything is connected, all energy is connected. And I do believe in karma. I also believe that what humans know as time, I believe it's an illusion. I believe reality is an illusion because nobody experiences the same reality, as the next person. We all have our beliefs, our opinions, our experiences, our actions, our perceptions, and yours is not the exact same as mine. That's why I believe reality is an illusion. What else? Oh yeah, veganism. I've been vegan for 11 years. That's more to do with animals. My belief that we should respect other beings on the earth, all sentient beings, try and respect them as far practicable as possible. So that's why I'm vegan. I don't believe in breeding, using, killing animals for my own selfish desires. And I'm alive. Most people think, that vegans need supplements and stuff. No, I'm alive. Hello. But yeah, let's do some astrology updates. So the moon is conjuncting Mars. That can mean heightened emotional drive, impulsive actions, potential for reactive moods, intense or restless feelings. Venus is sextiling Uranus. That can mean sudden attractions, creative inspiration, surprising social connections, unexpected collaborations or ideas. Venus is trining Neptune, which can mean deep empathy. It's more of a global deep empathy. It can also mean dreamy romanticism, heightened aesthetic sensibility. And the moon is squaring Jupiter. Square aspects are not the best. That can mean emotional exaggeration, overenthusiasm, a risk of overextension. Optimism may be intense on a collective scale. Watch for grand gestures or inflated expectations. The moon is also sextiling Mercury, which can mean emotional clarity, thoughtful communication, and mental ease. Venus is opposition to Pluto, which can mean power struggles in love, intense transformations in values, exposure of hidden emotional dynamics, and globally, forces of control or transformation coming to the fore. Venus has moved into Leo. That was on August 25th. That can mean bold expressions of love, creativity, and self-worth. And a rare Uranus-Neptune sextile, a long-term awakening of collective imagination and innovation, reminiscent of the late 1960s. So that's just a brief astrology aspect. That's what I'll be doing each episode. So during this pilot first episode, I wanted to just give you a brief overview of tarot, what is tarot, what's it used for, and I'll just discuss some common misconceptions. So tarot has 78 cards, okay? 22 of them are major arcana and 56 are minor arcana. The major arcana is significant life lessons, and the minor is about everyday experiences and situations. So they're used for, a lot of people think, they're just fortune telling for fortune. They're for divination, they're for going deep into your everyday experiences, giving you guidance, insights. It can reveal probabilities, but not fixed destinies. I always tell people, tarot's not set in stone. Energy constantly shifts and changes. So if you get a tarot reading and it is making predictions, you still have free will. Energy can change. If you don't like the prediction, what are you going to do to change it? If you do like the prediction, you've got to work with the energy. Tarot doesn't happen for you. It's energy you have to work with, okay? So there's no fixed destinies with tarot. It allows for personal choice. It's all about self-reflection, introspection, storytelling. It's about tuning into the energy, interpreting them intuitively. So as a tarot reader, when I'm reading for people, I like to go with my first impressions, what I'm intuitively picking up. I also like to give people the different meanings to the cards. Every tarot reader is different. Every medium's different. We don't all do things exactly the same. I do what feels right for me. I do what feels right in the moment with the person that I'm reading for. So I go with first impressions, and I also give different meanings just so the person can get the most out of the reading. But yeah, did you know that tarot, it originated from the 15th century in Italy? It was first, like when they were first invented, they were just invented for playing cards, like your normal playing cards. But they evolved. They evolved into a system of being able to explore present, past, future energies. Potential future, though, remember that. But when it comes to the misconceptions, I just wanted to discuss a few during my first episode. So the misconceptions, not everyone knows, but it's a common thing where, religion, especially Christianity, is against tarot, all things, to do with occult. But there's actual history behind that and why they became so, anti-tarot, anti-witch and all that type of stuff. So the misconceptions of tarot, they're not satanic, they're not evil, and they're actually not anti-Christian. So I did find some interesting information to do with the whole history around Christianity and tarot. People that actually believe, that tarot's evil and satanic, they've attached themselves to a stigma. And I personally believe they haven't bothered to research, to look at the history of tarot and why people use tarot. What is tarot used for? So there's a few interesting things I found. The creators of the tarot were firmly within a Christian worldview, which you can see in many of the cards, like the devil, the judgment card. What's that relating to? They talk about judgment. They talk about the devil in the Bible. Christians pray, Buddhists meditate, tarot readers connect to something higher than themselves, to receive these messages. So I personally believe there's not a huge difference between those things. As long as, as a tarot reader, as long as you are focusing on personal development instead of trying to install a new ideology, there's really not a difference between a tarot reader and other spiritual practices like the prayer, like the meditating. There was an interesting fact that I found. Well, I won't say facts, okay? I did my research, so I'm not going to sit here and say they're facts. But it was interesting information, okay, that I found. The metaphysical process tarot uses is similar to a practice accepted in the Bible. So in the Bible, there's two known examples using a practice called sortition, or the casting of lots. This is where you make decisions by taking an assortment of items such as sticks, and they're different lengths, and you shuffle them like shuffling tarot cards. And depending upon pre-agreed meanings, picking the lots divines the intention of God that you should follow. So it's no different to shuffling tarot cards and going off, what tarot cards come out. So demons simply aren't involved, and it's not meant to be used for evil, only personal development within an existing Christian moral cultural framework. It just so happens that most tarot users are no longer Christians because of the secularization of society. I thought that was an interesting piece of information I found. So there's 2 examples in the Bible. The first example occurs in Leviticus. By the way, I don't know the Bible back to front. I know little bits and pieces. Like I said, I'm not religious, but I do know bits and pieces. The first example, like I said, Leviticus 16:7, where it states the Israelites, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, they cast lots to determine which goat would be their temple sacrifice and which would become their scapegoat. As this is an official practice outlined by Moses, it's not an example of a forbidden practice, as is so often the case of other occult practices in the Old Testament. The second example, it occurs in Acts 1, verse 123, when the apostles cast lots to determine who would replace the traitor Judas. Acts is believed to have been written by a companion of Paul and composed a few decades after the death of Jesus. Like the first example, it would have been seen as an accepted practice among Christians, especially since that very same book outlines that other divination practices are not to be used in Acts 19:18. Although tarot isn't designed to be a specifically Christian practice, it does follow Christian conventions, and it is therefore in line with the very same religions that criticize it today. I find that very interesting. So there's no mystical process in tarot, which isn't used also in biblical acceptable sortition. So we're going to shuffle a card. I'm going to pull a card. I'm going to call this the card of the week. So you may resonate with this, you may not. But, it's interesting. I'll pick up what I'm intuitively getting from the card's energy, and I'll also give you the different meanings to the cards, okay? Also, I forgot to mention, each tarot card, I didn't look up the history of this, so I don't know when it came about, but each tarot card is related to an astrological sign of the zodiac from Aries through to Pisces. They relate to earth, all the elements, earth, air, fire, and water. So we'll shuffle a card, and the cards that I'm using are from the deck Learning Tarot Cards by Witchy Cauldron. So I highly review these cards, especially for beginners. I've had these cards not for that long, but I feel like they've really improved my knowledge of the cards and being able to intuitively pick up more messages than what I was able to pick up before I got these cards. So they've really helped me develop the skill to be able to read tarot. So I highly recommend those cards. But yeah, we will pull one card, we'll talk about it, give you the different meanings. So when I'm shuffling the cards, I like to keep shuffling until my spirit guides or my higher self tells me to stop. So sometimes I'll be reading for people and I'll be shuffling for like 3 minutes and, I'm feeling their impatience. But I can't stop until it feels right, okay? And I always tell people I'm reading for, every reading is different. I get people leaving reviews on my page after getting a reading because they've got a really good reading from me. I'm able to, connect with the mediumship, pass on messages from their loved ones, pick up their names and how they passed away and all that. So they'll go and tell their friends, and then their friend will come and get a reading from me and they don't get a reading like their friend did. So that's why I tell people every reading's different. Depends on your energy, my energy, spirit's energy. You know, I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. All right, one more shuffle here. And I knock on the cards because it feels right. Some tarot readers do knock on the cards, and it's like a clearing of energy. And it just feels right for me. All right, so let's pull one card. Tarot card of the week. I feel like it's this one. Ooh, 9 of Swords. All right, so I'll see what I'm intuitively picking up. Just remember, this could be relating to just one person out there that's watching this, listening to this. It could relate to many. So just take things as they resonate. But for the 9 of Swords, for that to come out, I do feel like it's a bit of a collective energy with people. I feel like it's relating to a lot of worry and stress about to do with things that you can't control. So I'll give you an example. You know how a lot of us, we watch the news, we watch world events, what's going on in the world, and we all know that there's not a lot of good things happening in the world. Gaza, for example, very sad. It's just an example I'm using. We watch these things, but we're so far away from them, we can't control them. What can we do? But it really gets on our mind. We're not able to sleep at night. We cry over these things. We stress, we worry. That's what I feel like this is relating to. You're worried, you're stressed, you're not able to sleep. It's that type of energy, but it's to do with something that you can't control. It's out of your control. So I think the advice here would be take a step back, try and just take a moment to focus on the things in your life that you do have control of, accept the things that you can't control. I know it's easier said than done, obviously, but really try and focus on the things that you have control of, the things that you have a choice over, the things that are worrying and stressing you that you can't control. How is it helping you to stress and worry? But yeah, this 9 of Swords is related to Gemini, okay? It's also related to Venus and Gemini. It's all about anxiety, stress, worry. You can see on the card, well, I don't know if you can see clearly, but there's somebody sitting in the bed with the 9 swords above their head. They're holding their head, but they do have, they're still staying in bed. They can get themselves out of the bed. They can get themselves out of this worry, out of this predicament, but they have a blanket on. It's like a comfort blanket, isn't it? So a lot of us, we stay in our comfort zones, no matter if they're hard or not. We still, we lean toward our comfort zones. So this can also be about deep unhappiness, negativity, focusing on negativity, burdens, being overwhelmed, being at a breaking point, the inability to cope or face with life. It can be about depression, mental anguish, mental health issues. It can also relate to guilt, remorse, focusing on past issues. And it can also be an energy of people gossiping about you, which obviously causes some anxieties there. It's relating to fear and anxiety overall. That's the 9 of Swords. So that's the card of the week. I'm interested to know if people do resonate with that. But going forward, with the episodes, I'd like to hopefully have guests on. We can discuss topics. I'll be discussing, obviously, a topic of the week. I'll do readings for people. It may only be a reading for one person. I don't know. We'll see how things go. But yeah, listeners are welcome to call in, ask questions, share stories. So, for example, one of the episodes we might be talking about near-death experiences. And I'd love for people to share any experiences they've had if they've had near-death experiences. I think one of the episodes I'll definitely be discussing signs and synchronicities. It's a very interesting topic. But I'd like to end this with a spiritual mantra of the week that I wrote down. Stop holding on to what hurts and make room for what feels good. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.